This video was sponsored by War Thunder. More info on them later in the video. In 2000, Valve officially released a game called Half-Life Counter-Strike, a multiplayer team-based tactical shooter. And while the official reason for pushing the Half-Life brand on it was that Counter-Strike didn't really have its own market, one must consider if a game is called Half-Life, looks like Half-Life, and was released by the people who made Half-Life, is it a Half-Life game? I mean, surface level, the way they play is very similar to each other, they look the same, both of them have hyphens in the name. I mean, if I was John Video Gamer, right, just your average surface level gamer, and I saw a game on the shelf back in 2000 called Half-Life Counter-Strike, then I played it and it had nothing to do with Half-Life, I would assume that this game was a spin-off. You know, a game that is in Half-Life's world, it's just another piece of the world. And so today we are going to set about proving this. We're going to be jumping through many hoops of lore and logic to not only see if Half-Life Counter-Strike could truly be considered part of Half-Life's world, but also what part it would play in Half-Life's grander story. You know, what we want is to make a theory where one day Gabe Newell could snap his fingers, point at this video and say, yes, that's totally correct. Gosh, I wish Gabe Newell knew I existed. Now to start off with, we need to establish some gosh dang rules. First up, it's Half-Life's name first on the box, right? So Half-Life is the big boss of the universe. Everything has to align with its lore or it's not canon. And Half-Life is really easy with this kind of thing because it's not like the events of the first game just took place in the middle of the desert and nothing else was affected. Because as we know, after the Black Mesa incident, which resulted in our dimensions fabric being torn apart, nothing was the same. There were events called portal storms which raged across Earth, wildlife from another dimension named Zen slowly populated the globe, and eventually the Combine invaded. Now what does this actually mean for Counter-Strike? Well, in the world of CS, things are pretty normal. There are no aliens, no portal storms, no nothing. It's just good old counter-terrorist and terrorist organizations going back and forth in a never-ending battle to blow up a collection of places. What I'm trying to say is Counter-Strike 1.6 needs to be a prequel in order for it to work in the world of Half-Life. Which begs the question, what years are we allowed to play with? Where are we allowed to exactly insert Counter-Strike? And in order to answer that question, we need to figure out when Half-Life 1 takes place, which that's a bit more of a tall order. Valve has always been cagey about what year the Black Mesa incident took place in, but we do know that it takes place in the 2000s, since our only official date lies in Half-Life's guidebook, stating that the year is 200X. So first up, let's just cut this short, because while there's always been a lot of umming and ahhing about when the game takes place, we've actually always known the exact date. As in a book that details the creation of Half-Life 1 and 2, series writer Mark Laidlaw penciled in that the game takes place on March 31st, 2003. Although this doesn't really work either. This is just a concept that Laidlaw was working up. I mean, he didn't even have the name of Black Mesa down pat yet. So the real date is generally considered to be May 16th, since Gordon is offered a job on May 5th and is told he starts by May 15th. On this schedule, you can see that he was trained to use the HEV suit on May 16th and then pops off to work. In fact, it's kind of implied that the only reason Gordon was late to work in Half-Life 1 is because he was doing the training room. Now, this date is the first day where it's not like we're working off of one single scrap of paper scribbled up by Mark Laidlaw in 1997 or anything like that. We actually have a lot of evidence to back this whole thing up, except it still doesn't exactly work. For instance, how is Gordon best buds with Barney if he's only been there for like a maximum of 2 days? How does every scientist in that facility know who Gordon is? Also, in Opposing Force, you can find this photo frame naming Gordon as Employee of the Month, but that's also questionable when it comes to canonicity because we don't know if Opposing Force and Blue Shift is properly canon. Anyway, we've now established that the Black Mesa incident takes place on May 16th, and I'll just drop in the 2003 date as well, since it's the only complete 2000s date we've ever gotten. Now, this means Counter-Strike overall cannot take place anytime after May 16th, 2003. I mean, it could. It's not like after Black Mesa, a bunch of aliens just instantly showed up all over Earth. But you know, anytime after May 16th is kind of treading on Half-Life's toes a bit. I would also say that once aliens started showing up, terrorist organizations and governments alike would drastically shift their priorities priorities, which makes me just think that the scenarios you see in Counter-Strike just wouldn't really happen. Apart from that, many of the terrorist organizations in the game are very 1900s, with some of their biggest attacks occurring through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but nothing recent by a game released in 2000s standards. This all makes it easier to place Counter-Strike closer to the late 90s and early 2000s. I would also wager too, if we were to build a timeline of each Counter-Strike map, each of these operations could take place months or even years apart. So I would say that most normal CS maps take place in the late 90s up to 2002, while the Half-Life themed maps probably take place over late 2002 and all the way up to May 2003. But let's take a break from all this theory chatter to talk about something that's very real, which is the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is a free-to-play vehicle combat-based PvP game with over 70 million players worldwide for PC, consoles, and now also mobile. In it, you can fight with literally thousands of vehicles, ranging from warships and planes to tanks and armored cars, all of which originate from over a century of military history. Each one is also highly detailed, from how they play down to how they sound. The name of the game is Authenticity, and each vehicle has been carefully crafted to do justice to the real deal. But what makes War Thunder so special is its variety. This game has something for everyone. Even people with lower end hardware can join in thanks to War Thunder's painstaking attention to optimization, allowing for good-looking, lag-free experiences on many devices. And what makes this so impressive is that War Thunder is one of the most detailed free-to-play games out there right now, with each vehicle being made up of dozens of components it needs to function. And when these components fail, you can expect a realistic outcome. It's so in-depth that when you hit someone, you'll be treated to another of the game's features, which is the X-Ray, an addition that shows you how you damage someone's vehicle, what you hit, and how it affects their ability to keep fighting. This game really is a labor of love, with devs that are always pushing to improve the experience, including making this game portable with their new mobile version. Now available for iOS and Android, you don't need to settle for a War Thunderless life just because you're away from your gaming device, since the devs have completely and lovingly optimized the game to run on phones. And this isn't a watered down version either. You'll still find the fantastic gameplay and graphics you know and love from the original. And finally, a feature I personally recommend the game for is its unique gameplay selection. War Thunder isn't just a game about tanks or planes or ships, it's a game about all of them, and it accommodates players who enjoy all different gameplay types. If you like fast-paced action, tanks is the way to go. If you like planning ahead, maritime warfare is for you. And if you like a mix of both, aviation might just be your thing. And right now is a fantastic time to jump in if you're new to the game or haven't played in at least 6 months, since you can use my sign-up links that I've left in the comments and description to receive a massive bonus pack for the PC and console versions of the game, which includes stuff like the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, 7 days of premium account, and much more. But remember, this offer is available for a limited time only, so grab it while you can and bring the thunder to the battlefield. So now that we have all that stuff out of the way, let's jump into CS 1.6 and see if it contradicts anything we've set up so far. By the way, thanks to Reddit user Nihilus11 for compiling a list of connections between these two games. This post literally cut my research time in half, so thank you so much. But getting started, CS 1.6 is chock full of Half-Life references. In the map Assault, there's a large warehouse piled up with Black Mesa shipping crates. In Prodigy, we see the same. Also, this map has a very Half-Life-y vibe, being made up entirely of that game's textures. Militia has a house of Black Mesa scientists being held hostage, and in the garage, you can also find a Black Mesa SUV. Piranesi, I don't know if I said that right, also has a Black Mesa SUV in the parking lot, and Office has a full wall display of the Black Mesa logo. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of Half-Life looking stuff running around in CS 1.6. And I just know one of you just paused the video and started typing a comment saying, Brandos, actually, CS 1.6 started life as a mod. You can't count reused assets as canon. I know, you're actually right. Counter-Strike was built off of Half-Life, and the mappers that made it used the assets they had available to them. But then you have stuff like completely custom hostage models, or the same SUV model appearing in the map Siege, just without the Black Mesa logo on it. You know, if they're in the business of editing assets, why not just make all of the cars non-Black Mesa? Why not just make all the scientists generic dudes in lab coats? Somebody has once again just stopped the video and is now commenting, Brandos, all of these maps were made at different times by different people. Not everybody had access to tools that allowed them to make custom models. And just like that, commenter, you're right again. When did you get so smart, huh? What's with all these good questions, huh? As you can see, Counter-Strike 1.6 is a little bit hard to talk about if you want to talk canonicity. I mean, it's a very rare situation to have a product that started off as unofficial, and then by the time it was pretty much a done deal, then it gets branded as official and released as official. It makes my head hurt. When Portal uses the same energy orb from Half-Life 2, it's in the same universe. But when fucking Counter-Strike has like a fucking fleet of Black Mesa SUVs, that it's reused assets. I think Gordon Freeman would want me to calm down. I'm gonna put my HEV suit hoodie back on. Gosh, if only there was a version of Counter-Strike 1.6 that was official, like Valve took all of 1.6 and just rebuilt it. If only. Okay, to be fair, Counter-Strike Condition Zero doesn't really meet this criteria. Like, just the idea of this game gives me a migraine because the development of this game, the marketing of this game was really bad. Like, if I was held at gunpoint and asked to explain what Counter-Strike Condition Zero is, I'd just be like, shoot me. Valve just wanted to make a sequel to Counter-Strike 1.6, and it took them 4 years and 3 other dev studios. Like, this shit came out around 7 months before Counter-Strike Source. It was a trial. I don't even know. It's a confusing game. You know, some people call it Counter-Strike single player. Some people call it the awkward middle child of the series. It lacks a clear identity of its own, in my opinion. But that's not what we're here for today. No, Condition Zero actually sported many remade versions of Counter-Strike 1.6 maps. And I know that since this thing bounced from one studio to the next probably doesn't help with the canonicity thing, but at least one motherfucker at Valve had to have seen this thing and go like, yeah dude, it's good, right? So yeah, we are treating Condition Zero as being the more Valve overseen version, which means booting into these Half-Life reference riddled maps should give us a clear image of what we call canon and not. And overall, for a game that doesn't have Half-Life in the name, it sure sticks to its guns because a lot of the references are gone. No. Militia is full of normal hostages, not scientists. Prodigy has lost its shipping containers and now looks far less operational than 1.6. But then again, Piranesi still has the Black Mesa SUV. It looks like a cardboard cutout, but it's there. That's got to count for something. And on Office, while many parts of it has changed, the Black Mesa wall display is still there. So honestly, this really doesn't answer many of our questions. Condition Zero removes enough Half-Life stuff to officially make it feel a lot less Half-Life-y. But then again, you have these 2 maps with blatant Half-Life stuff present, and it gives me an idea. If this were a video about if Condition Zero were a prequel, I would say no. Condition Zero, 1, has its own single-player campaign, and 2, it's not called Half-Life. But we still have 2 pieces of evidence that shows us that this stuff was a-okay being in a Counter-Strike game. We are past reusing assets, we are past the mod stuff. Officially, Office has a Black Mesa wall display. The question is, why? Well, in the vacuum of Condition Zero, that question can't be answered. But taking this sliver of canonicity back to 1.6, we can begin to piece together the Half-Life prequel that's been in front of us for the last 25 years. This is a story of a targeted attack on Black Mesa in the time leading up to Half-Life 1, and how every player that's ever touched Counter-Strike 1.6 has been nothing but a pawn in a game that all of humanity ends up losing. So when you look at Counter-Strike 1.6's map list, you probably wouldn't think there's any sort of story to them. It's just a handful of counter-terrorism scenarios to play around in, and that is completely true. But nestled away in the maps that include Half-Life content, I believe that there is a story to tell. Sure, each scenario contains different terrorist groups and counter-terrorist organizations, but they all share the same through line: Black Mesa. Now the story starts in Assault. This warehouse is actually an undercover front for Black Mesa, and it gets attacked by a terrorist group who takes several hostages. And while making a statement seems to be their goal, their true objective lies in the high security backroom where the terrorists download information about the warehouse's network. And soon after this attack, Office comes under siege. The same group once again takes hostages, and yet again, this is just a diversion, as the attackers were after information. Now let's just stop here for a second, because you might be wondering, what's so special about Office? It's just a strangely boring looking office building rented out to two different businesses, Prodigy Incorporated and Busy Blaster Labor Union. But what if I told you that these businesses and the entire building is nothing but a front for Black Mesa? See, Black Mesa is a classified research facility. It's essentially Half-Life's version of Area 51. They are a government contractor, they brush shoulders with the military frequently, so it stands to reason that they wouldn't have a public-facing administration office. This is what Office is, and it's why there's a Black Mesa display on the wall, as well as a picture of the White House in this other room. It's probably a government building. So back to our story, the terrorists were once again putting on a show and looking for information. And with this building being a Black Mesa logistics office, they got it. A complete list of properties Black Mesa owned, exactly as they were hoping. Now, after this catastrophic data theft, this data somehow made it to different terrorist organizations, and in quick succession, many of these properties were attacked. The map Militia is actually a place for important Black Mesa guests to stay on their visit. The map Siege is a recently acquired Black Mesa facility being maintained by a skeleton crew. In both of these locations, nothing was stolen, but hostages were taken. It's almost like all of these attacks weren't about the hostages, but instead the location. These organizations were searching for something, and that something finally came in the form of the map Prodigy, a fully functioning Black Mesa data storage facility. Exactly what all of these groups had been searching for. And this time, when the terrorists stormed the facility, they had a bomb they planned to use. And even though in Counter-Strike, usually bomb scenarios are anyone's game, this time the terrorists succeeded, and the bomb went off, destroying the Prodigy facility. And I might hear you ask, where is your evidence? Well, I don't have a ton. A lot of this is speculation, but it's speculation that is built on logical connective links between all of these locations, maps, and events. In Office, you might recall that the building is home to a corporation called Prodigy Incorporated, an office that's a Black Mesa front that has a company called Prodigy Incorporated, which leads to a map that looks like a Black Mesa facility called Prodigy. These two maps are connected, and if you start connecting the maps by this pretty solid logic, you begin to see the story that weaves between all of these events. And that story is Black Mesa is being attacked by a third party. And what's strange is that no single terrorist group is at fault. Multiple groups are all focus attacking Black Mesa's supposedly secret support network. But once again, the question is why? Well, this is a Half-Life game, right? Who do we know that is always in the background, always just behind the scenes, pulling the strings, manipulating events? Who do we know that slowly pushed Black Mesa towards creating a resonance cascade? That's right, we're talking about G-Man. G-Man is the overall and unseen antagonist of Counter-Strike 1.6. In the background, he has been slowly feeding information to terrorist groups about Black Mesa's infrastructure, key locations in their supply chain. All this in the hopes of them destroying the Prodigy facility. And why is this? Well, it's all part of G-Man's plan. G-Man. By tipping off the terrorists to assault true activities, he most likely disrupted the transportation of classified equipment like replacement parts for the anti-mass spectrometer, things that would keep the machine in tip-top shape. But G-Man also got something else out of this. With the terrorists assaulting and gaining access to Officer's server, he was able to distribute the stolen information to whatever terrorist cell he wanted, and he could do it without tipping off any agencies that there was an insider within Black Mesa's circle of trust. And eventually, in the early morning of May 16th, 2003, a terrorist group assaulted Prodigy, a major part of Black Mesa's data network, and detonating their data command center majorly crippled the system.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files.
At this time, G-Man instructed Administrator Breen to turn the anti-mass spectrometer to 105%, and providing his own Zen crystal, G-Man's plan was now complete. Going into that morning, months of attacks on facilities took its toll. Black Mesa's network was sent into disarray. The anti-mass spectrometer, which had not received proper maintenance for months, was overclocked, and with an unstable Zen crystal sample being delivered to the test chamber, let's just say that when G-Man talks about unforeseen consequences, he's lying, because he saw all this shit coming. Hell, he oversaw all of it coming. Also, if you want to take it one step further with the whole Half-Life brand name, you could say that all the attacks in CS 1.6 were G-Man tip-offs, trying to create as much chaos as possible to create an imbalance in the world's governments. I think it works pretty well, because I've always played Half-Life and gone, I wonder what's going on outside this facility, and Counter-Strike 1.6 is honestly a fantastic showcase of a pre-Half-Life 1 world. It's a chaotic one, filled with terror and chaos, something that might make people more ready to accept an alien empire coming in and saying, "We're taking over." Finally though, why would G-Man want the Combine to come to Earth? Why would he be softening up humanity for them? To be honest, I don't know. A lot of this theory is contributed to the one thing we absolutely do know about G-Man, and that is that he wanted the Resonance Cascade to happen. Other than that, we don't really know anything else about him. So in conclusion, is Counter-Strike 1.6 a Half-Life prequel? No and yes. While Half-Life originally adorned the boxes of Counter-Strike, I really don't think these were ever meant to be the same IP. I mean, just the vibe of everything in Counter-Strike has always been unbelievably realistic. I feel like Elvis Presley could show up in Counter-Strike before a Vortigern ever would. So yeah, the answer is no. Michael Laidlaw never touched this game. He never wrote a sentence for the thing. So it really is just a very convenient series of asset reuses that could be interpreted into a story. But could Counter-Strike 1.6 be a Half-Life prequel? 100%. With the shared textures and the sounds, as well as all the little nods to Black Mesa, with the little theory I've spun up, Counter-Strike 100% could work as a soft prequel to Half-Life. But this, my dear viewers, is where we enter the realm of headcanon, like we haven't been here this whole video. But sometimes with these older IPs, with all their lore and inconsistencies, you just have to make up some shit in your head and be happy with it. So yeah, Counter-Strike can be a Half-Life prequel if you would like, but you're gonna have to be totally okay with the fact that if you asked Gabe Newell what he thought about this whole thing, he'd probably say, no, what are you doing in my office? I'm calling security. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Let me know if you do want to hear me talk about more wacky lore stuff in regards to Valve's strange shared universe they've been cooking up, because this whole Half-Life Counter-Strike thing isn't the first time they've gotten a little bit silly with the lore. Anyways, until then, see you later. Once again, I'd like to thank War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check out this awesome free-to-play game by using my links down in the comments or description to get your hands on a massive bonus pack for the PC and console versions of the game. It includes stuff like the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 Silver Lions, 7 days of premium account, and much more. Once again, this offer is available for a limited time only, so get it while you can.